You said that music, like in terms of getting paid, it's like the biggest thing in owning all your art.
Yeah, because I learned it's a the mind industry that I chose to be a part of. So it's like I accept that I run with it, but don't be a dumbass at the same time. You gotta understand they're using me as entertainment, and this shit becomes self-destruction too. Cause I ain't no entertainer. You know, some shit can't be spoke on. Why? Man, for that shit is to be continued.
Is in terms of like,
And we talking too much, man.
Now, notice he says that they're using him as entertainment and it has to continue. He talks about certain things he can't speak on. Why? Because the show must go on. I must persist in this evil, and I'm not an entertainer. What he's saying is, he's saying that he's an influencer, that he's used to pretty much influence the masses, and he's done a good job at it. He's done a great job at it, especially when it comes to these quote-unquote YNs. They all want to be NBA Youngboy. They all want to be NBA Youngboy. So NBA Youngboy understands what his purpose is, and he understands that as an influencer, he's being used to push wickedness, to push demonic, imagery, demonic energy onto the masses. That's what his job is, and he understands that. But at the same time, he's conflicted. And you can tell that he's conflicted, and he has a lot of demons on him, Mr. NBA Youngboy. You could just tell that this person has demons on them and under multiple levels of programming. Just my belief based off of, how he emits himself, as well as, understanding of certain things. But this is 1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 1, where it says, "Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to the seducing spirits and doctrines of devils." And that's what a lot of people are into, seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, especially coming from the upper levels of society, celebrities and whatnot, as well as the tenets that come from the upper levels in regards to paganism and these different customs and adherences. As far as like I always say, these people adhere to concepts like the universe. They give credit to the universe as opposed to the Heavenly Father. That's going into the seducing spirits. That's going into doctrines of devils. Christmas, where you celebrate all these different holidays, all these different new age philosophies that's, pretty much going into these different aspects of wickedness or contrarianism to, what's real and what's right, as well as these new age religions like Wicca and all these different philosophies that a lot of these so-called black women adhere to and uphold. That's these days, these seducing spirits making you think that it's something of righteousness, as far as like these new age philosophies, like open up the chakras and your third eye and all these things, divination and astrology. That's what we living in. And it's all seducing. It's all doctrines of devils, as well as, the understanding of what comes from the entertainment industry in terms of just the overall influence. They're devils. These people are not righteous people. These people are not aligned with anything that's supposed to benefit you, just when it comes to your overall, your overall outlook on life in regards to what's right and what's supposed to be for you. They push all these different vain philosophies onto you, as well as things that can hurt you in the long run, just when it comes to your spirit, just when it comes to the spiritual element. They impart and implant your brain and your mind and make you consume all these different elements of wickedness. And sometimes it's unbeknownst to you. Sometimes you don't even understand it,
It's very demanding. This whole industry, this whole system, shit demanding. It's very, all this shit ran off of money. All this shit do not mean nothing, and it's very demanding. This whole music industry is very demanding. As I saw the crosses in the Jesus piece, I just grabbed it. It really don't mean nothing. And as I say, this shit demanding. I'm very demanding. Man, there's a lot of devils that's coming in and out my door.
The brother understands what he's a part of. That's all it is. A brother just knows that he is a part of an industry that's wicked and demonic, and he is someone that has to perpetuate it. That's why he says, you know, we must continue, or I must continue. Just when it comes to him asking the question of why, you know, I can't answer why, but we got to continue. That's pretty much what he said in the beginning of, you know, the start of this script of this video, excuse me. So just wanting to get into the understanding even further, just in regards to the conundrum that a lot of these celebrities are under, just in regards to what they see and what's before them and what they had to partake in, right? As you can see here with a Mr. Kodak Black. So let's just get into what Mr. Kodak Black is saying.
Man, you. We ain't with none of that Illuminati. We ain't on none of that. Little baby, young boy, all the gay going on. We ain't on none of that pensioner. We ain't on none of that. Don't never play with no snitch, no soft shit, no none of that shit. We ain't on none of that. Stop playing with me. For real.
So NBA YoungBoy, I believe, is receiving backlash from his fans, quote unquote fans. I don't even know if he's really receiving backlash to the degree that they're making it out to be. I mean, at the end of the day, listen, man, a lot of people, we have to have a single mind. We can't allow people in their minds to dictate how we look at things. Like, if you're a fan of NBA YoungBoy, then just be a fan of NBA YoungBoy. What does his political views have to do with you? Oh, I'm not going to listen to his music anymore because he says that Trump does a lot for young people. It's like, this society, man, golly. Oh my God. NBA YoungBoy's new praise comes after receiving a presidential pardon from Donald Trump early this year. So of course, you're going to praise the man because he helps you get out of jail and whatnot. Like, come on. We already know these simple-minded young people. We already get it. And that's who YB is. I would consider him a YN. Even though he's like 25, 26, he's a YN. Like, he is classified as that. That's him. Like, he's definitely what you would consider a quote-unquote YN. NBA YoungBoy voices support for Donald Trump as controversy continues to surround the president in his second term. On his new song, XXX, he raps, "Whatever Trump doing, bitch, is good for the youngins. All hail Trump." Fans on social media have been having mixed reactions to the lyrics. Who cares about their reactions? Most of these fans just have pea brains. They're fucking stupid. Putting people on a pedestal. This is what happens when you put people on a pedestal. You put NBA YoungBoy on a pedestal, so you get mad at him because a person that you don't put on a pedestal, or a person that you actually do put on a pedestal, just when it comes to it being in a roundabout way, because you care so much about what he says to the point that it offends you. So you put what he says on a pedestal indirectly. Like, this is what happens in an idolatrous society where people care so much about what people say. You give them power. And this is just broader. I'm not even going into just this. This is just like it's inspired me to say what I'm saying, pretty much. We got to stop this stuff, man. This idolatry has to stop. It's not going to stop because it's prophetic, but still, on one hand, it's like, oh my God. But on the other hand, it's like, okay, we already understand this because the Most High told us. But notice here that he was on a song called XXX. He made a song called XXX. XXX, that's a theme, that's a motif that's in the industry a lot where you see it. It's a repetitive theme in the entertainment industry. XXX, it represents 666 because the X in Pythagorean numerology is for 6. Just look up the Pythagorean numerology chart and you know what I'm talking about. The letter F, the letter O, and the letter X represent the number 6. This is why Fox News Network or Fox Network, that's really 666. Kendrick Lamar, he had another song called XXX, which ironically enough was politically driven. Even though I haven't heard the NBA YoungBoy song, but he mentions Trump. And Kendrick mentions, Trump in that song as well. Or at least, he did mention Trump, right? So XXX, ironically, both politically driven songs from Kendrick Lamar and NBA YoungBoy. And it just represents 666. That's all it represents. Because X is the number 6 in Pythagorean numerology, right? And also, going into the understanding of how America is pretty much corrupt and, its influences is based in what it is, the beast. So what are they telling you? They calling America the beast. That's why, like, on the album cover for NBA YoungBoy, I think that's his album cover or the song. You know, he's in front of the American flag with some green mask on, representing the beast, representing serpentry as well, right? So 666 is XXX, XXX is 666, especially in the entertainment industry, particularly in the entertainment industry. Like when you understand or you see that a lot, you know, those three letters, as far as like a album cover or movie title or what have you, it represents 666. That's what it represents. And Ozzy Osbourne, just speaking of the number 6, he died at the age of 76. It's obvious that that was a sacrifice and that was based in the veneration of the GOAT. The number 76 is associated with the GOAT. Kobe Bryant, he was on the S-76 helicopter, and before he died, LeBron James passed him in scoring against the 76ers, where Kobe Bryant is from in Philadelphia, right? On Saturday. Saturday is for Saturn, the GOAT. So they love to worship the GOAT. They worship the GOAT. That's what it is. And brothers, just for the purpose of cohesion, he also has a song with YG. YG has a song featuring YoungBoy called 666. Yes, he has a song called 666. I just wanted to add that because, you know, I'm having trouble adding that in the edits. So I just wanted to add this just for context, just for cohesion as well. He has a song called 666, like an actual song. So XXX and 666 pretty much interchangeable in terms of the sentiment. So please, you know, just regard that because it's very important for us to understand these things. And disregard this thing on my head. I had to take my do-rag off, but yeah. Now, as of recent, NBA YoungBoy, he's been wearing a lot of all black. And we already know all black just when it comes to these celebrities and why they wear it. It represents them being worshipers of the planet Saturn, as well as, you know, the pagan goat god known as Saturn, representing all black, as well as Osiris, the god of the dead. Osiris, also known as the sun god. That's why they wear all black. And you always see the motif, the all black, or black, white, and red, or black, white, and red, and yellow. You see those colors a lot in the entertainment industry. You just got to pick up on it, especially in hip hop. Like you always see yellow, or black, white, and red, and yellow, or black and red and yellow, because yellow represents the sun. The number 33 represents orange as well as the color yellow. It represents the sun. And we already know red is another element that's, you know, in line with the sun, or another color that's in alignment with the sun. Black represents Saturn. So they always have these colors because it goes into their system of worship, as well as the understanding, you know, of the alchemical, going back to like turning lead to gold, the understanding of the elements of fire and ice. And then you have, you know, you have the inverted pentagram, and you have the triangle, the pyramid, as far as representing certain symbols of water and air and things of that nature going into the gods, the pagan gods, you know. So it's very important for us to understand. And just like when you see this is another image that's kind of similar to Roddy Ricch's debut album. I forget the name of the debut album, but it's the same image where you see him sitting down and his right eye is highlighted, and it's in the black and white. And he's wearing a black shirt, representing their worship of Horus or Heru. Even Roddy Ricch, on that same album, he has a song called Bird's Eye or something like that. You know, it's in reference to Heru, the falcon god, also the sky god. You know, all this stuff is all esoteric just when it comes to things that they push and what they partake in. We already understand it. With Nas, even going back to Nas and his old albums, he was pushing a lot of esotericism. He does it now, but, you know, even back then, you know, he's like a mixture of like that 5%er with the esotericism, with the knowledge and the wittiness and the style. He encompasses all that. And when I say esotericism, I'm just talking about the knowledge that's hidden, the knowledge that they understand that, you know, for the most part, a lot of people aren't privy to. And it goes hand in hand with the 5%ers because they believe that they have knowledge that 95% of people don't have. And I agree with some of that, but for the most part, the doctrine is really based in the worship of Cush. It's based in the worship of the God who pretty much incepted the importance of mathematics and numbers and whatnot, you know? So it's very important for us to understand these concepts and where they come from and why they call themselves gods as well. It's based in blasphemy. It's not based in humbling yourself to the Most High God when it comes to that understanding of being a God, where there's a delineation. These 5%ers, they believe that they're God, like they equal to the Most High, you know? And that's just narcissism. So it's very important for us to understand humility is what comes with the spiritual aspect. These people, they believe that just because they have knowledge of something that's spiritual and, they can stand on their high, like they high horse or something like that. Like they on this high hill. Like you got to humble yourself in that spiritual, when you're in that spiritual realm. When I say spiritual, I'm just talking about when you in this mode of spirituality or to you, what you believe is spirituality. You don't think that there's humility that comes with that? Even if you believe in the chakras and all these different things, most of these things is based in trying to empower someone to think that they're a god or something like that. When it comes to this, the true understanding of it is humility. All these other elements of what people deem spirituality to be is narcissism. Like these motherfuckers, they want to be psychics and shit like that. That's all narcissism. When it comes to the true spirituality, it's based in humility. We humble ourselves to the Heavenly Father, knowing that He is the one true God. You people, you don't do that. You people think that you can open up chakras and heal people and shit. No, you cannot. And that's what I mean about the differences between their understanding of spirituality and our understanding of spirituality. That's why I don't like when these people say that they're spiritual. You don't know what that really means, because you're not humble. To be spiritual, a part of being spiritual is being humble. So I wanted to get this excerpt from this book, Morals and Dogma, just for overall context. It's always good to contextualize the video just when it comes to insight and understanding. So Morals and Dogma just goes into the understanding of Masonry, its inspiration, its inception, where it comes from, so on and so forth, and the many different levels based off of apprenticeship to quote unquote godhood. So in the ancient Orient, all religion was more or less a mystery, and there was no divorce from it of philosophy or philosophy. Excuse me, I'm reading too fast. The popular theology, taking a multitude of allegories and symbols for realities. And this is the understanding of the ancient mystery school system in regards to the pagan fount and what its intentions are. The popular theology, taking a multitude of allegories and symbols for realities, mimicking, degenerated into a worship of the celestial luminaries, of imaginary deities with human feelings, passions, appetites, and lusts, of idols, stones, animals, and reptiles. The onion was sacred to the Egyptian because its different layers were a symbol of the concentric heavenly sphere. Of course, the popular religion could not satisfy the deeper longing and thoughts, the loftier aspirations of the spirit or the logic of reason. The first, therefore, was taught to the initiated in the mysteries. There also it was taught by symbols. The vagueness of symbolism, capable of many interpretations, reached what the palpable and conventional creed could not. Its indefiniteness acknowledged the abstruseness of the subject. It treated that mysterious subject mystically. It endeavored to illustrate what could not explain, to excite an appropriate feeling. If it could not develop an adequate idea, and to make the image a mere subordinate conveyance for the conception, which itself never became obvious or familiar. Thus, the knowledge now imparted by books and letters was of old conveyed by symbols. And the priests invented or perpetuated a display of rites and exhibitions, which were not only more attractive to the eye than words, but often more suggestive and more pregnant with meaning to the mind. Masonry, successor of the mysteries, right? Masonry is successor of the mysteries, meaning Masonry comes from the Babylonian mystery school system. That's where Masonry comes from. It comes from the Babylonian mystery school system, going all the way back to Shinar, ancient Sumerian understanding, the Babylonian understanding, you know, when it comes to the regions that were led by Cush and Nimrod. Still follows the ancient manner of teaching. Her ceremonies are like the ancient mystic shows, not the reading of an essay, but the opening of a problem, requiring research and constituting philosophy. The arc expounder, her symbols are the instruction she gives. The lectures are endeavors, often partial and one-sided. To interpret these symbols, he who would become an accomplished Mason must not be content merely to hear or even to understand the lectures. He must be aided by them, and they having, as it were, marked out the way for him, study, interpret, and develop these symbols for himself. Right? So this is just going into the understanding, just in context when it comes to the different levels that you must reach in the field of Masonry, which is of the entertainment industry. These people are Masons, they are Illuminists, Luciferians, whatever you want to call it, Enlighteners, that's what they are. And it all goes back to the Babylonian mystery school system. The understanding mimics the mysteries. And it's more than meets the average eye, just when it comes to the understanding, as far as the insights and the, you know, the details. You know, the devil is in the details. Though Masonry is identical with the ancient mysteries, it is so only in this qualified sense that it prevents but an imperfect image of their brilliancy that ruins only of their grandeur in a system that has experienced progressive alterations, the fruits of social events, political circumstances, and the ambitious imbecility of its improvers. After leaving Egypt, the mysteries were modified by the habits of the different nations among whom they were introduced, and especially by the religious systems of the countries into which they were transplanted. To maintain the established governments, laws, and religion was the obligation of the initiate everywhere, and everywhere they were the heritage of the priests, who were nowhere willing to make the common people co-proprietors with themselves of philosophical truth.
I sit on a council of 13 people that take orders only from the Rothschild Tribunal in London, which they claim they take their orders directly from Lucifer.
I was the manager of Zodiac Productions, which Zodiac Productions, its name's been changed since then. I'm not even sure what they call it now, but it's the largest music conglomerate in the world. It owns RCA Records, Columbia Records, Motown Records, owns almost all the concert booking agencies in the United States. And that's not even the name of the company that owns it. The name of the company that owns it is Brenner Enterprises, and Brenner Enterprises is owned by Chase Manhattan. Chase Manhattan's owned by Standard Oil, and Standard Oil's owned by the Lords of London. You can track it on back. You kind of get the idea after a while. But I was the managing president of Zodiac Productions. It's one of my jobs as being one of these 13 people. Thus, I got to know many of the people who produce music and sing the music and play the music that you play. Now, one of the closest friends that I got during that time that I obtained was a man named David Crosby. Crosby, Still, Nash & Young. And I saw David the day before Christmas last year, talked with him. I got him away from this witch that he had with him. He told her to go shopping. We were in West Hollywood, and I was witnessing around to people I knew. We went off in this store, and we started talking. I said, David, I'd like to ask you a couple questions. I said, I already know the answers, but I've been gone for 5 years. I'd like to know if certain things are still the way they were when I left. I said, now I'll have to explain some of this when I'm done, because you're not going to understand it all unless you know something about music. I said, do they still take the master to the temple room? Dave said, yeah. I said, do they still have the coven conjure demons into the master? He said, of course. I said, now, I got to know something. What's the main reason for rock music? He said, come on, Lance, you know what the reason is. I said, please, David, I don't want to guess. Tell me what the main reason is. He says the same as when you were in, so that we can play spells on people that we couldn't cast spells upon. I'll explain what that means in a minute. I said, okay, one last thing. I've been hearing that you must be an initiated witch now to get a record contract. He said, that's right. He says, many of us that weren't total witches have to be witches now in order to produce music. I said, thank you. The master is a tape about as big as the top of this podium that looks like an overgrown 8-track. That the album is cut on and is placed in a machine that produces and presses the records and the 8-tracks and cassettes that you buy. After it's been recorded, it's taken in This is why a master's cut months in advance before it's released. On the full moon, it's taken into a temple room about the size of this auditorium that is in every one of the major music companies, behind locked doors up in the executive offices. And it's placed on an altar sitting in the north of the room, and a pentagram engraved in the floor. And 13 hand-chosen witches and wizards and a coven come in and conjure a principality or a power up, usually Regia or something like that, and order him to tell the demons under him to follow every record and every tape coming off of that master. As I tell many Christian parents, you can go home and count your kids' records, probably yours too, and count how many demons at least are there. If that's too hard for you to believe, I'm sorry. That's why they do it. Now listen to me. This is why rock music's addicting. Have you ever seen kids that got rid of their music? They go around like this. They can't wait to find a rock station somewhere, and they sneak off just like getting a cigarette or a fix, because it's addicting. That's why they can't give it up. The rest of the conversation was this. You can't cast a spell on a Christian, but you can get a Christian to cast a spell on themselves. If you give the permission for the spell to work, being a Christian won't block it. And rock music is not just a song. It is supernatural music, that which is carefully designed by their spirit guides or familiar spirits in the form of spells. Now, although the devil's music's power is the music and God's music is the words, much of the songs are written in what we call witch language. Give you kind of an idea. Many of you talk on a CB, unless you know what a smoky is, and a 10-4, and a front door and back door and rocking chair and these type of things. You don't know what you're talking about. Same with witches. When you're in the first and second level, you have to learn over 2,000 words that said by anybody else mean something totally different than when you say them. Elton John has said he's never written a song or sung a song that wasn't in witch language. Now I want to show you something. See how many kids in here will be honest, and adults. How many remember and have heard at least several times a song called Hotel California? Somebody tell me what it meant. Quickly, somebody tell me what it meant. Huh? That's pretty close. But from the words, what did it mean? Well, that's more of a guess. See, most people can't tell you. That's why when people do drugs and they listen to songs in which language, they get some of the meaning. But most of the time, they can't tell you. Stop and think how many songs are out there that you really like, and you don't have any idea what the person was talking about. Beyond the Yellow Brick Road? How about The Destroyer by Kiss? Can anybody tell me what it's about? Kiss said in it, kids, kill your parents. They're talking about Helter Skelter. Beatles sung Helter Skelter in which language? Nobody knew what it meant. Manson did because he belongs to the process. Helter Skelter is a several thousand-year-old word. Most of the music is either about Helter Skelter or a place called the Night Winds, which is what Hotel California is about, and different doctrines of witchcraft. You listen to them, your parents let you listen to them, and they have no idea. Kiss openly bragged how they were gaining control of people through their music because the people played their music. They told how they didn't form their own group. Their church, because they were ordained ministers of the Satanist church, placed them together. And that's how most of the music is done. David Crosby, when him and Crosby, Still, Nash & Young produced the record Two-Way Street, they ordered the Principality of Medici to order demons of rebellion to go into the record, and everybody that heard it would be rebellious against law and order and government. And it was one of the reasons for the great upheaval in the 60s was that one album. And they take open credit for it.
I have personally talked with Johnny Todd on the basis of Jack Chick's recommendation. Having known Johnny Todd now for more than 4 years, and my having known him for some 6 months, I believe that Johnny Todd is a genuinely converted man, saved by the grace of God out of the depths of Satanism,